Less than 4 hours ago, I just got in from the annual meeting of the Institute for Biblical Research and the Society for Biblical Literature, IBR and SBL. If you ever hear me use those terms here on the channel, IBR, SBL, that's what I'm talking about. Now, I've done recap videos of my previous years at SBL. If you've seen the previous recap videos, there's a recap video coming, but I wanted to get this filmed tonight because in the morning, I'm going to drive down to Georgia and I'll be there through the weekend for Thanksgiving. So I thought before I put all of the resources that I picked up this year on my shelf and figured out which order I'm going to be reading them in, SBL is usually when I get the bulk, not all, but the bulk of my reading for the upcoming year. And then over the holidays and into the new year, I'll work my way through it. And then I reach out to some of the people who have written some of the stuff that really sticks out to me and introduce you, Dojo viewers, to them. So that's a little behind the scenes how it works here at Disciple Dojo. And I thought, let me just do a video that just shows. I'm not going to review, I'm not going to talk about, I'm literally just going to show you the resources that either I picked out and bought because I wanted them, or resources that I was given by publishers or by authors at SBL. And I just want to say up front to the viewers, and particularly to those of you who have subscribed to this channel, those of you who have shared content on this channel with your friends or with other people on your social media, this is the first year, honestly, at SBL where I don't really remember. I mean, there were a couple of times, but for the most part, there were very few times where I actually had to explain what Disciple Dojo is, who I am, what I do. A lot of people already knew because they either watch the channel or they've heard about the channel, and that is because of you that have subscribed and have supported and helped get word out about Disciple Dojo. It was cool. I'm going to talk more about that in the recap video, but I just want to thank you, those of you who have supported this channel. And I also want to let you know, there are a couple of new things that we have, ways that you can support this channel, that I want to tell you about before we jump in and look at these books. Just permit me to do a little bit of shameless plugging because we don't do a lot of it. Every now and then throughout the videos, you'll see me, they'll see the little box pop up here that says where you can get some of the shirts that I'm wearing. We've got some new stuff in the store that I just put up that I thought you might want to know about. You may not know. Some of you may not even know we have a Disciple Dojo store. Let me just show you a couple of new things that are in the store that were not previously available. So one thing I've been trying to do lately for my own health is drink more water. And water just tastes better when it's out of a Disciple Dojo Old Testament timeline water Bible. So the same design that's on our mug is now available on a water bottle, and our QR code is here. So if you want to help tell people about Disciple Dojo, if you're like, hey, check this channel out, they've got really cool Bible nerdy stuff. Yeah, just take a picture of this with your phone and it'll take you right to this channel. It's got our logo on the other side. This is not a prop. I'm actually drinking out of it. It's filled with ice. So this is new in the store. And for the first time, we have hats. Like I wear different hats usually because one, I'm going bald. So I usually am either wearing like one of my Boston Scally caps just because I like that style, or a trucker hat that I have put one of our iron-on patches on, or, you know, you'll see me with the samurai patch on every now and then. But now in our store, we have our Books or Weapons in the War of Ideas, which is based on the logo that they would imprint on books back during World War II, including the first edition of Paralandra that I've talked about here on the channel that I have, one of my prized possessions, with the little Disciple Dojo Samurai logo. So now we have hats available. And here's the thing, guys, I have a big head. So if you're a guy with a big head, you know how if you guys, those of us with big heads, when you put normal hats on, even the snapbacks, which is what this is, it looks weird because you have to open it all the way to fit your big head. Most women don't have this problem. Well, there's some of y'all big head women out there, I'm sure. But most of us, especially guys with big fat Irish pumpkin heads like me, finding hats that fit is hard. So these on our Zazzle site fit my big head. And I'm not even at the last snapback. I'm like 3 or 4 down, which is unheard of. We also have ones with the Disciple Dojo logo on them as well. These are available in the store. So if you're looking for a gift for your favorite Bible nerd this Christmas, this holiday season, and you want to support what we do here on the channel, you want to help me keep the lights on, very literally, then yeah, check these out. We've got all kinds of other stuff at the store in different categories, Bible designs, jiu-jitsu designs. Like I said, it's not the business that we run, it's just a little bit of supplemental income and fun stuff that I like to put together and see what other people out there might be interested. So take a look at that and just know that it helps us out. We make a couple of dollars off of every sale and, it adds up over time. But the bulk of everything we do and our funding does not come from selling stuff. The bulk of what we do comes from our monthly dojo donors. So if you're not one, we would love for you, especially here at the end of the year, we'd love for you to consider becoming a dojo donor, either a one-time amount or what really helps us, like what helps us more than big one-time gifts are small monthly gifts. Honestly, that really helps us. And all of the headway that we've made every year at SBL and getting the word out and people knowing about this channel, which makes more authors and scholars want to come on and talk about their work, which is exactly what you guys want to see more of. All those are ways to help make that happen. Okay, thank you for bearing with the housekeeping. I'm going to just show you, I'll switch to the overhead view, and I'm just going to put each resource on screen, show you what it is. By the way, you'll be pleased to know, thanks to my Gen X Tetris skills, I was able to fit all of this in my one carry-on and backpack on the plane. I was proud of myself, but it was a heavy backpack. All right, let's take a look at these resources. These are in no order whatsoever. I am literally just grabbing them and showing them to you on camera. So the first one, this was given to us at the Zondervan Authors Lunch. My good friend Richard Middleton brings me to that, and it was really cool. I got to sit and talk. You'll see some behind the scenes footage of all of this stuff. I even got to meet and have a great conversation with the head of Zondervan Bibles, like the boss of everyone in the room. And it was a great conversation. So stay tuned for more about that. But they gave everyone, as part of the gift bag that they gave all the authors and the guests, they gave the NIV Application Bible. Now, I've reviewed this Bible on the channel. So if you want to know what's in it, you can see the review that I've done. But it is large print. Those of you that always complain about how small the print is. And I'm going to be giving this away. We're going to hopefully try to do a big live stream giveaway at the end of the year. This will be one of the things that I give away to a viewer. I already gave away the other copy that I reviewed to someone at our grown-ups table retreat. It was a door prize that one of our attendees won, and she loved it, and it ended up being the perfect fit, exactly what she was looking for in a Bible. So I'm going to give this one away to a dojo viewer. Don't know exactly when that's going to be. The only way you will know when that's going to happen is to be subscribed. That's why this little graphic here is below me. Be subscribed to the channel. Another book we were given at that same luncheon was Prophet, Priest, and King, Christology in Global Perspective. This is edited by Michael Horton, Elizabeth Mburu, and Justin Holcomb. And it is part of their Theology Together series. That is literally all that I know about it. So once I take a look and have had the chance to check it out, I'll let you know more. A book that I picked up in the exhibit hall. I bought this one because I was interested in reading it. This is in the 40 Questions series that Kregel produces. If you don't know Kregel Academic, they're an excellent publisher, a lot of really good resources, and this series is great. I've talked about here on the channel 40 questions about Roman Catholicism, 40 questions about Bible translation, 40 questions about Bible interpretation. This is a good series. Benjamin Merkle is the editor of the series, and each volume are by different authors. So if there's a subject and you're like, I just want to know about this subject, in this case, it's women in ministry, because that's an issue a lot of people are passionate about, for or against. Believe me, I get that in the comment section whenever I post a video that has anything to do with it. If there's any issue that you're interested in, check out Kregel Academic and their 40 Questions series. This is a really good series for wrapping your mind around whatever issue it may be. There were two books. One was sent to me by our friends at Lexham, and one was sent to me by our friends at InterVarsity. These both have to do with gender dysphoria. So the one from Lexham was Robert S. Smith, The Body God Gives, A Biblical Response to Transgender Theory. Robert Smith is an Anglican minister. I believe he's Australian. And then the one from IVP is the second edition of Understanding Gender Dysphoria, Navigating Transgender Issues in a Changing Culture. This is by Mark Yarhouse. Mark Yarhouse is a clinical psychologist. He's probably the leading voice, at least among evangelical Christianity, on issues involving gender dysphoria and sexuality and gender and those things. He's a voice of compassion. He's a voice of academic rigor. I've read a couple of his other previous books. I have not yet read this one, so I was very happy when IVP agreed to send me a copy to take a look at. So after I've had a chance to read these, I'll share my thoughts here on the channel at some point. The next book was given to me by my friends at Hendrickson Publishers. If you know anything about the languages, you know Hendrickson is one of the premier publishers of anything having to do with biblical language scholarship. And so one of the books that I said, hey, I'd love to take a look at, and they were kind enough to say, yeah, here, take this copy, is Metathesis in the Hebrew Bible, Wordplay as a Literary and Exegetical Device by Isaac Kalimi. I'm looking forward to showing you guys this one because there's a lot of Hebrew in it, and you can't really see it on my camera right yet, but it's color-coded. If you don't know, metathesis is when two letters are switched, and it's done intentionally. There's metathesis when it's accidental. You meant to write a word, but you switched out two letters accidentally. But then sometimes it's intentional. It creates a word play. It's found in some of the poetry sections. It's also found in some of the narratives as well. But it's more prominent in Hebrew, especially because many of the words in Hebrew are triconsonantal. They're three consonants, three Hebrew consonants. And if you play with those, switch them around, you get a similar sounding word, but it means something completely different. And that's part of the wordplay. It's part of the fun. And for some people, it can be maddening, but for others, it's what makes Hebrew such a fun language. So Hebrew nerds out there, I'm going to be looking at this and I'll be sharing my thoughts on it when I'm able. Another volume I picked up on my own, and this one was not cheap, but I don't have one. I have this digitally, but I don't have an actual copy, is a copy of the Peshitta, the Syriac New Testament. It's in Syriac, but this one is Syriac and English. So if you don't know what Syriac is, this is what Syriac writing looks like. Visually, Syriac always, to me, reminded me of if Arabic and Klingon had a baby, that's what visually the Syriac alphabet would look like. It's a very cool-looking language. I cannot read Syriac. So I got this because one day I'd like to at least be able to read the language, even if I'll never become fluent or be able to interpret it. But this is a Syriac English version. So I'll actually open it up and show you. Is this what they call unboxing videos? I'm just kidding. I know what those are and I can't stand them. So there's this back thing that tells about Gorgas Press. They have a primer for people that want to learn Syriac English dictionary, but this is why I got it, because it lays it out. So you have the Syriac on this side, and then you have, in this case, this is Mark's Gospel. You have it on this side. So it's not just that I'm getting the Syriac text. I already had that in accordance. I'm getting an English translation of the Syriac text, which is nice, and one with some translator footnotes at the bottom. And then there's some stuff in the back, too, that I literally have not looked at all, but I'm hoping will help me at least start to be able to wrap my mind around Syriac. So I'm not sure when I'll get to this to take a look. This is on the back burner, but it's something that I wanted a copy of and that I will check out eventually. When I do, I'll show it to you. If you're interested and you just want to see this, let me know. I'll do a video just on the Syriac Peshitta, and we'll do a quick little primer on what it is and why it matters. I stopped by the booth and talked to the folks at Crossway, and they were nice enough to give me a copy of their dyslexia-friendly edition. I've reviewed 2 dyslexia-friendly Bibles, one by Zondervan, one by Holman here on the channel. Well, people that are ESV fans, there is a dyslexia-friendly ESV Bible. It has the colored sheets similar to the one from Holman. It uses the font similar to that one as well. And I haven't even taken it out of the box. But yeah, it's the ESV. So those of you that are all about the ESV, but you or someone you know or love struggles with dyslexia, then stay tuned. I'm going to do a review of this one, and I'll do this soon. This may even be before the end of the year because it's not a study Bible, so it doesn't require a lot of reading and absorbing. I'll just show you what it is, and yeah, hopefully it's something you want to pick up. While I was at the Kregel academic booth, this caught my eye. This is a commentary series I'm unfamiliar with, the Keruch's Commentaries. And this one I grabbed because it was on Ecclesiastes and Song of Songs. I've taught on Song of Songs here on the channel in our To Know and Be Known course that we have. And I love Ecclesiastes. I will be teaching here at Disciple Dojo, just like we did with Habakkuk, just like we did with the Olivet Discourse. But I need to do a little more study before I'm ready to make that series. So this is one of the resources I grabbed because, yeah, Ecclesiastes, aka Kohelet, is one of my favorite books in the Old Testament. And I'd never seen this commentary series before, and it is for biblical preaching and teaching. So that's what we do here on the channel. I wanted to check it out. And speaking of Ecclesiastes commentaries, I'd mentioned to Hendrickson while I was at their booth that I would love to take a look at Russell Meek's commentary that just came out. This is from the Preacher's Hebrew Companion series. It's for preachers, people who are preaching or teaching the text, and it walks you through the actual Hebrew text. Very similar to what we do here when we teach through books or like our Psalm series here, where we try to show you the Hebrew. This is like a print version of that. And when I was hanging out with my friend Andrew King, who has been here on the dojo, we were getting coffee, and the guy right behind us in line, he goes, "Oh, hey, you need to know my friend Russell." And it was Russell Meek. So I actually got to meet Russell. Hopefully, I'll be able to lure him here into the dojo for us to have a discussion about Ecclesiastes, because it's a hidden gem in the Old Testament. And I want to take viewers, dojo viewers, I want to take you guys into why this book has won me over, because I had no desire to teach it or preach it for a long time. And now I absolutely love it. So I'm really looking forward to this very much. And again, I want to thank Hendrickson. Hendrickson gave me this copy to check out. If you are at all interested in the biblical languages, you need to be in tune with Hendrickson's resources, because they are top shelf. A book that sold out because it's generated so much buzz is Paul Sloan's Jesus and the Law of Moses, the Gospel and Restoration of Israel within first century Judaism. This is in the realm of books like Jason Staples' Paul and the Resurrection of Israel, but this is focusing on Jesus. This is focusing on Jesus specifically in how he interacted with the law. Did Jesus come and just be like, yeah, the law doesn't really matter, it's all about the heart? You know, you can pluck grain on the Sabbath, and because the Sabbath's not a big deal anymore. Or was Jesus doing what other ancient rabbis would do in a very specific and unique way? That's what Paul Sloan gets into in this book. I just started this. I'm only about 40 pages in. I started on the flight back, and I was already highlighting tons of stuff. I got to meet Paul, my roommate. Shout out David Schroeder. He got me this copy, and Paul actually was kind enough to sign it. I'm going to try to get Paul on the channel once I've had a chance to read this and digest it, have him back on to talk about it, because this is one of those books that's making waves already. Like I said, it sold out at the convention center, and they had a lot of copies of this. So for it to sell out means a lot of people in biblical studies right now are reading, digesting, interacting, critiquing, affirming, all that stuff. This book is in the zeitgeist. I was also going to pick up our friend Drew Johnson's book on interpreting Old Testament law. Drew's book sold out as well. Drew, give me a copy, brother, and I will happily read it after I'm done with this. We'll have you on the channel to talk about it. Congratulations for it selling out. That's awesome. And for those of you that don't know, see our discussions here with Drew. He's been on the channel a couple of times. So 2 books about Christians and the law. There's a lot of interest in those right now, and I'm glad to see it. A book that Baylor University Press was kind enough to send me to review, and I can't wait to get to it. It's by one of, if not my absolute favorite professors that I ever had in seminary, Dr. Sean McDonough. We've had him here on the channel to talk about Revelation, and we actually talked about this book. It's now out, when he was back on talking about the apocalyptic imagination and different philosophical approaches to things like beauty and aesthetic and the sublime and all of that stuff. Check out that video if you haven't watched it already, and you'll see why Sean was one of my favorite professors and why I'm excited to read this, Literary and Philosophical Investigations of the Apocalypse of John, aka Revelation. Sean was my Revelation professor, and as soon as I heard about this, I wanted to get my hands on it. Our friends at IVP were kind enough to send me a copy. I've mentioned it here on the channel before already. I did not pick this up at SBL, but it is part of the, this whole season of getting my new reading for the coming year and what I'm going to be sharing with you guys. There is a second edition of the best book of biblical theology ever written, in my opinion. Christopher Wright's The Mission of God. I'm excited, and Disciple Dojo viewers, I am thinking through right now how to do an online book club in 2026 for this book, where we read it together and we meet and talk about it on Zoom once a week for a set amount of time. I haven't worked out the logistics on that yet, but I want to do it, and I was so grateful that IVP sent me this copy so that I can compare it with the first edition and dig into the stuff that's new, because this was published many years ago. So yeah, Mission of God. If you haven't read this book, this is my #1 Disciple Dojo recommended book of all time, period. Another book that was included in the little gift bag that Zondervan gave at the author's luncheon was A Teachable Spirit, The Virtue of Learning from Strangers, Enemies, and Absolutely Anyone by A.J. Swoboda. If you don't know A.J. Swoboda, he co-hosts with our good friend Dr. Nijay Gupta. They have a podcast called Slow Theology. You don't get hot takes. You don't get knee-jerk reactions. That's why it's called Slow Theology. You process, you chew it up, you work through it. I don't know anything about this book, so once I've had a chance to read it, I'll let you guys know what I think. Another book that I wanted to get, if you saw the video I did recently on the 10 books that have most shaped my theology, one of those books was Science and Faith, Friends or Foes by C. John Collins. When I was at the Zondervan booth picking up some resources, one of the ones that I grabbed was his Reading Genesis Well, Navigating History, Poetry, Science, and Truth in Genesis 1 through 11. This is the material that we cover on the podcast that we have. It's not video here on YouTube, but it's on Disciple Dojo's podcast called Genesis 1 through 11, the Primordial Preface. This section of Genesis has been read in so many different ways, many of them well, more of them not so well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Collins handles it. He's always a voice, again, whether I agree or disagree with a particular interpretation, I always appreciate his approach. I'm really looking forward to this one, The Authority of the Septuagint, Biblical, Historical, and Theological Approaches. This is by Gregory Lanier and William Ross. I met Dr. Ross at a Shabbat dinner with a mutual friend of ours a couple of years ago. I've never met Dr. Lanier, but he hosts, if you aren't already following, I've shared some of his stuff before, Daily Dose of Septuagint, that channel here on YouTube. If you have any facility with the Greek language, check out that channel. I watch it. I don't watch it every day. I'm not able to. So sometimes I have to watch a few in a row, but they're only like 4, 5, 6, 7-minute videos, and they just go through 1, 2, sometimes 3 verses, but usually it's just 1 or 2 verses in the Septuagint, and Greg Lanier just walks you through the Greek text of it. It's a really cool channel if you are a Bible nerd who has any ability with Greek, but you also are interested in the Old Testament. So yeah, check it out. I was excited. I want to read this. Eventually, I would love to have one or both of them on the channel, but I want to read this first. And a lot of you comment when we talk about Septuagint. A lot of you are very passionate about Septuagint stuff. So if that's you, then yeah, check this book out. It even contains an excursus by our good friend, Dr. Mark Ward. If you don't know Mark Ward's channel, you should be following it because it's excellent. Another book I was excited to check out because I just recently, for the first time, read through Dante's Divine Comedy. We did a video here on the channel that mentions it. The new book by IVP by Richard Hughes Gibson, The Way of Dante, Going Through Hell, Purgatory, and Heaven, with C.S. Lewis, Dorothy L. Sayers, and Charles Williams. And this is the book about how Dante's Divine Comedy shaped so many brilliant minds. And I have somewhat of an understanding now of the Divine Comedy that I never had growing up because I never read it, never looked into it. But after looking at how much it influenced C.S. Lewis in particular, particularly the Space Trilogy, which is my favorite trilogy, I definitely wanted to look at this. So thank you again, IVP, for sending me this copy to check out, and I will be sharing it here with you in the dojo once I'm done. One of the books that Zondervan gave all of the IBR members at the IBR reception that I'm very much looking forward to reading. I didn't even know about this until they said, hey, this is one of the books you can choose as our thank you gift for coming tonight. And I grabbed it as soon as I saw it. John Anthony Dunn's The Mountains Shall Drip Sweet Wine, A Biblical Theology of Alcohol. This is in the same series that Helen Painter did, A Biblical Theology of Violence. We had Helen on the channel last year to talk about her volume in this series, the Biblical Theology for Life series that Zondervan puts out. So I'm really interested in reading this because this issue comes up, especially for me here in the Bible Belt. And their Christians are very opinionated in their views on alcohol all across the spectrum. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this, and I'll definitely be letting you know about it once I'm done. There were 2 commentaries that were on sale, and when books are on sale for 40% off and they're buy 3, get 1 free, that's when I don't feel bad about pulling the trigger. This series by Zondervan, their Exegetical Commentaries series, we have had, if you saw our episode with Dr. Jay Sklar about Leviticus, he did the Leviticus volume in this. If you watched our Habakkuk series, I used Turner's volume on Habakkuk in this series. And our friend Jerry Huang, who's also been on the channel, has the volume on Hosea in this series. So I already knew this is a great series, and these are two books that I don't have any really good commentaries in my library on. So I wanted to check these out. I have not been disappointed with any volume in this series. So I felt like this was a safe one, even though I'm not familiar. I'm vaguely familiar, at least by name, with Wendy Witter. So I grabbed her commentary on Daniel, but I'm not familiar with Christopher Ansberry or Ainsbury. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. And I also don't have a really good go-to commentary on Proverbs. So I grabbed both of these. What makes them great is they do very much, this is the closest to what we do here on the channel when we teach through books of the Bible, like we're doing with Psalms or like we've done with Habakkuk or the Olivet Discourse. They lay out the Hebrew text and a very literal English paralinear translation. And then what they also include is an outline of the book as you go. And then after that, they comment on the section. So this is a great series. Daniel Block is the general editor for the Old Testament. Daniel Block is who I strongly considered doing a PhD under way back in 2009, maybe. I drove up to Wheaton. I spent the afternoon with Daniel Block. The door never opened for me to do a PhD, but a church member who, after I went up there and she asked me how it was, and anyway, Carmen Imes, she ended up going and studying under Daniel Block. So many of the scholars that came up under him, the blockheads, as they affectionately call themselves, he has produced some remarkable scholars, and he's just a wonderful man, brilliant Old Testament scholar. This is a series that I feel pretty safe recommending that people check out. So I'm looking forward to being able to use these for many years to come. B&H Academic was also giving conference attendees a copy of Nora Whipple Caudill, hope I'm pronouncing the name right, Old Testament Wisdom and Poetry, Contemplating a Lived Faith. And I'm familiar with Gary Schnitger and Mark Strauss. They're the series editors. And again, anything having to do with the wisdom books, particularly Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, I will not turn down if somebody asks if I want a copy, especially when the blurbs are by some really, really good Old Testament scholars. But I know nothing about this. I just looking at it, there's a section on Job, there's a section on the Psalms, there's a section on Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs, and Lamentations. That is all I know, and once I know more, I'll share it with you here on the channel. And then lastly, at the Zondervan exhibit, there were buy three, get one free. One of the books that my good friend Isaac Paley, he's been here on the channel, he's talked about the Targums, we've talked about rabbinic studies. He picked this book up at last year's SBL when he and I were roommates, before he married Dr. Ellie Weiner, who is now Dr. Ellie Paley, aka the scholar who has memorized the book of Job and has also been here in the dojo. He picked up this book and raved about it. And he is not someone who's easy to impress, especially when it comes to rabbinics. So I had to get a copy. This is in Zondervan's Ancient Literature for New Testament Studies series. I had their volume on New Testament Apocrypha, but he was like, dude, you got to check this out. This is a phenomenal resource. This is volume 7 on Targums and Rabbinic Literature. This is not the actual text of the Targums or the Rabbinic Literature. It would be like 30 volumes if so. What this is a summary of those documents. If you saw the episode with Isaac here on the channel, a lot of what he talked about is covered, but in a lot more detail in this. So there's an introduction, an overview, and then essays about Targum Jonathan, about the Targumim of the Pentateuch, the Targumim of the writings, and then how the Targums have been received. And then part 2 is the same thing, but of rabbinic literature. So you've seen me use or cite from Sepharia.org sometimes. Those are all the rabbinic texts, from the Talmud, Mishnah, the different Rabbah, different tractates. This is sort of a crash course in all of that. And like I said, my buddy Isaac is not easy to impress. So the fact that he was impressed with this was like, yeah, I need this in my library. So those are the resources that I grabbed this year at SBL. There are a few others that I wasn't able to get copies of that I have talked to the different publishers about, and they may be sending them. There is a new women's study Bible that I'm going to be taking a look at. There are other scholars who have sent me PDFs of some of their work that I want to take a look at and then maybe have them on to talk about. So this isn't the totality of what I'll be reading in 2026, but it's a big chunk of it, I think. So anyway, I just wanted this to be something of a preview of coming attractions in the new year here at Disciple Dojo. But that'll do for now. I'm going to get some rest, try to recharge, go spend some time down in Georgia with my family. And I will see you back here next time at Disciple Dojo. But for now, in the meantime, keep training.